Hello, students. So, let's do the next problem. And the question says, in terms of x, what are the possible dimensions, length and width, of the quadrilateral shown below with an area of x squared minus 3x minus 10? So first of all, let's analyze what is given to you. Well, we do know that it's a quadrilateral because it has four sides, right? So let's underline that, highlight it. You can highlight it, you can underline it, however you guys prefer. Next one, it says that x squared minus 3x minus 10 is actually the area for that, okay? Which is right here, already given to you guys. That's the area, okay? So I need to find the length and the width for that. So I need to find the length over here, and I also need to find the width over here, okay? So if you guys remember the formula for area of a quadrilateral, I want to find the area for that. I need to multiply the length times the width, okay? So area, it's given to you, so I'm going to rewrite it over here. X squared minus 3x minus 10. And if you guys remember, length times width is like multiplying, right? So I need to know the two factors that will give me my area. So let's see if you remember how we do that. Yes, if you guys said, Miss, is that the one where we use the X and the table? The answer will be yes. So let's draw the table and the X. I'll give you a couple of seconds for you guys to do it. Okay, so I have my table and my X. And I was just thinking if you guys knew what was the definition for dimensions. Because sometimes we take it for granted that we know, and we're like, nope, I did not know that, miss. Dimension means what are the measurements for the length and the width. So with that in mind, let's continue. So first of all, I am going to write down my standard form, if you guys remember, right below my number. I can do it on the question itself on the top, or I can do it down here. I'm going to do it right here. So this is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So the next thing that I want is, now I need to find a, b, and c. So if you remember, anytime that there's no coefficient for the variables, right, we are going to write down a 1. Okay, so now I'm going to write down my values for a, b, and c, right? So the values for a would be what? Yes, if you notice, a goes right here. So it has a value of 1. B has a value of what? -3, right? So -3 will be right here. And the last one is C. And C goes with -10. Very good. Okay, so let me write down my -10 here. Okay, so let me go back over here. So this is your A, right? My B is right here. And my C is right here. Okay. So let's move on to my actual problem. So now I need to find the product of A times C, right? Which is 1 times -10. So I do get a -10. Opposite of that will be my B, which is a -3. And on the lower sides, we know we put my A's, right? Which are the coefficients. And A, in this case, is a 1. Once I do that, we move on to the table, right? On the table, I need to find who's going to be my product and the sum. Because remember, that's the whole idea here. I need to find the product The product for whom? Yes, for my negative 10. And I also need to find the sum for who? For negative 3. So let's start with the first factors for 10. And remember, we always start with the same thing, right? So we're going to start with 1. And I want you guys to notice one thing. My product needs to be negative. So let's come back and put a negative on one of the numbers, right? So this will give me negative 10. But again, if one of them needs to be negative, then the 10 can also be my negative. So I get a negative 10, right? The next one is going to be a 2. 2 times who gives me a 10? Well, let's start with negative 2. And I do get a negative 10. Then 2 times negative 5, I still get a negative 10. How about 3? Can 3 multiply anything to give me a 10? No, right? No whole numbers. How about 4? No. And 5, it's already there, so we're done with the factors. Let's move on to the sum. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my factors. And this gives me a 9. Very good. Right below that, I'm going to add a negative 10. And I get a negative 9. And the next one, that's not the answers, right, guys? I'm looking for a negative 3. Let's move on. So I got negative 2 plus a 5 gives me a positive 3. Man, that's kind of close, but not there yet. Next one, 2 plus a negative 5. And if you get an answer for that, yes, that's your negative 3. And we're going to say what, guys? Bingo! Yes, because that's what I want. I want a negative 10 and I want a negative 3. So these are my factors right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and write them on my X. So I'm going to write down a 2 over here. And the negative 5, I'll put it on the opposite side. Can I simplify any of those numbers? 2 and 1? No, that's the simplest form, right? 5 and 1, that's the simplest form. So remember that the coefficient A is the one that carries the X. And now I want you to highlight this. Because remember, these are your factors. So those are my factors. So let's rewrite my factors. So my first factor will be 1x plus 2. Yes, so I'm going to put him way over here. And the next one will be 1x minus 5. And we can rewrite him, right? Because the 1 is not needed. So it can be something like x plus 2 and x minus 5. Do you guys see that answer anywhere here? X plus 2 and x minus 5? Yes, you're right. The answer should be letter C for that one. Okay, very good.